Ooh, that looks tasty. Welcome, folks. Today the Hungry Gamer is back with another how to play video. And today we are talking about Hex Monsters, designed by Callie Tootle Kramer and published by Labyrinth Games. And I do apologize if I mispronounced any of those names there. Now, what Hex Monsters is it is a 2 to 4 player monster battling strategy game. And for this instructional video, I'm going to be showing you how a 2-player game works, though do keep in mind that there is also a 3 and 4 player variant, though you'll be able to learn how that works in the rules. Additionally, I do need to point out that everything that you see here is still in the prototype phase and is subject to changes and upgrades. Finally, do make sure you turn on your Klingon subtitles, because if there are any design changes occurring after the recording of this video, that is where you will find those corrections. So in order to set up for a 2-player game, what you'll need to do is you'll need to gather your 3 different types of tokens that the game comes with. Those are single damage markers, 3 damage markers, and paralysis markers. And you will need to gather the tiles that come with the game. This particular prototype comes with a total of 20 double-sided tiles. On each side is a particular color, and that simply notates which player's monster that happens to be. For this example, I will be using red and blue. Additionally, for this video, I have some red and blue cubes. That is just so I can a little more clearly explain how the games work. It is not something that you need for the game itself. The first thing that you'll do is each player will take 10 tiles in their color. And then what they'll do is they will organize them and stack them in whatever order that they want, keeping in mind that when you start the game, you will be drawing the top 3 tiles from your deck. So in other words, you can start out and just pick the 3 tiles, the 3 monsters that you would like to start the game with in your hand. Then after that, you take the rest and you organize them in whatever order you would like to be able to draw them in during the game. So in this case, perhaps I want to stack them like so. Then once each player's done so, they take them into their hand, and again, they draw the top 3 from the deck, and then they keep the rest of the tiles turned over, so you do not know what is coming next beyond knowledge of how you stacked your deck. As you play, your turn will be broken down into 3 different steps. You have the prepare phase, the attack phase, and the cleanup phase. And I will go through each of those very quickly. During the prepare phase, you have a choice of 2 things. You can either place a tile, or you can turn a tile, one side along your hex. It is important to note that you are not allowed to pass your turn. You always must either place a tile or turn a tile. If for some reason that is impossible, then you simply have to skip your turn. After the first placement of the game, you'll always be putting tiles out so at least one side connects with another tile, whether that be your tile or an opponent's tile. After your prepare phase, you move into the action phase. During the action phase, you're allowed to activate any of the actions alongside the sides of your hex on any tile that you have either placed, rotated, or turned. And those last 2 words will make sense in just a little bit. And for now, we will talk about what all of those different abilities mean. So we'll start with the assumption that during my prepare phase, I turned this tile one space like so. Then I'm allowed to activate any and all of the abilities around the edge of the tile that are touching another one. So for the sake of this argument, I will start with my attack 2. This is very simple. I would simply deal 2 damage to that tile right there. I will note that had this tile been set up like this to where the block was in place, it would have absorbed 1 of the 2 damage. Then I get to continue around activating more abilities. In this case, I have another attack 2, so I will activate that as well. Now I also have a turn 1. A turn allows you to move whatever tile is adjacent to it, either clockwise or counterclockwise. However many positions is listed next to the turn. In this case, 1 position. So I could move like so, or I could move like so. In this case, we'll assume that I'm going to turn like so. Now that this one is activated, I'm allowed to use all of the adjacent abilities next to this here. So we'll start out with, I can do an attack of 3. Though in this case, I would be unable to use this ability here because the pterodactyl is already turned once and you're only able to turn or rotate a single tile once on any given player's turn, it is possible to have multi-monster combos. There are 2 other abilities that you might activate at some point, and those are Paralyze, at which point if you activate a Paralyze ability, you place a Paralyze token on the monster that is paralyzed. What Paralyze means is that monster is not allowed to take any action, whether it be turning, attacking, or healing, until the paralyzed token has been removed. There are two ways to remove a paralyzed token. One is during the cleanup phase, which I will explain in just a few minutes, and the other is if you are healed. If you are healed, and you have a paralyzed token, you remove the paralyzed token. It's important to note that a single heal does not both remove a paralyzed token and remove damage from a monster. It can only do one of the two, never both at the same time. The next action is the rotate ability. And what the rotate means is when this tile uses its rotate ability, the tile that is connected to it will then rotate around the tile that is activating it. And what's important is that the same side that is connected to the activating tile will remain connected to it. And to illustrate that, I'm going to place another cube out onto the tile. So when this one activates, this tile will simply rotate around, and you're able to rotate either direction, though in this case, obviously this one could not rotate this way because it is blocked there. But if you notice, the heel is still connected to it. To complete the illustration, if we were lined up like this at one point, and I were to activate the rotate, again, I would be able to rotate it this way. Notice the heel is still connected to the same tile, or I could rotate it this way. And again, do note that the heel is still connected to this tile. And then, of course, by rotating this other tile here, now this tile would be able to activate and use its heel over here, its attack here, and, well, the block is always active, but you get the idea. And those are actually all of the actions that you can take in the game. After your action phase has been completed, which concludes when you have taken all of the actions that you would like to take on any of your tiles that have either rotated or turned, and I will also point out here, you're allowed to take those actions in any order that you want, allowing for impressive combos the more and more tiles that you have out, and the cleverer you are with your placement of said tiles. Then you move into the cleanup phase. During the cleanup phase, the first thing that you will do is you will remove any paralysis tokens that were on one of your tiles at the beginning of your turn, thus meaning that a paralysis will only last one turn no matter what. The next thing that you do is you check the board for any tiles that have 10 or more damage on them, and those tiles are then removed from the game. If in a situation like this that creates a small island that is no longer connected to the rest of the tiles, whichever of the islands is smaller is also removed from the game. In the unlikely situation that there are two tiles of equal size, whichever player whose turn it is gets to decide which of the two islands remains in the game and which ones are removed from the game. And then the last thing that you do at the end of your turn is you draw a new monster from your deck and put it into your hand to be played potentially next turn. I will point out that once your draw deck is empty, you simply skip the draw step of the cleanup phase. Then you go into the next player's prepare phase, and the process continues from there. The first player to lose all of their monsters loses the game. So, there you have it, folks. That is all there is to Hex Monsters. It is a relatively simple game to learn and understand, though it does take quite a bit of skill and practice to actually master the game, as you can see by the way combos can grow and grow and grow as you play the game. As always, thank you so very much for watching. If you found this video useful, I do hope that you will like, subscribe, and share. And if you're interested in getting your own copy of Hex Monsters, you can find a link down in the description which will tell you exactly how to do that. As always, thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.